is about both relying on what we know about learning and learning sciences and making sure that we are designing our PD to rely on those best practices of learning sciences, that we are engaging with education professionals, and that we are also engaging with our teachers, the people who are going to participate in our PD. It's also about providing authentic experiences for those participants in PD and making sure that they experience what they're going to then provide for their students and help their students experience. I think it's really important for engineering PD to be based on what we know about the science of learning and what we know about professional development for teachers. Teachers are learners themselves, and they need to be able to absorb what we're trying to do as engineering educators in helping them learn how to be engineering educators. And so we need to think about them as learners as well. We need to frame our professional development in terms of how adults learn. And we know from science how adults do that, or best practices to help adults do that. It's interesting. We are in a situation where most standards for science education in K through 12 in the country are either directly related to the next generation science standards or developed from the next generation science standards. Those standards include engineering teaching standards. The percentages of K through 12 teachers who have had engineering courses is tiny, like it's in the single digits. And so we have a really large gap in knowledge and understanding of what engineering is. And so filling that gap is really important, not just to build competence in teaching, but to build confidence for teachers. Primarily, we need to, as educators, help ground this in the knowledge of what engineering is. We need to help our participants understand what engineers do, why those things are important in the world, and help them be grounded in engineering technologies, things that are emerging, and basically what we know from engineering education. So it's important that as providers of PD, we are connecting more than just a one-off or a couple of day workshop. As much as possible, we ought to be setting up programs that connect over a period of time so that teachers have an opportunity to apply what they're learning, come back with questions, and that we can support them in an ongoing fashion. Lastly, and something that's really important to me is that, I'm getting feedback from the participants of professional development to see how what I'm helping them with is working. I'd like to make sure that I'm thinking about this as a continuing improvement process as well. I do think that engineering PD can differ from other PD while we lean on professional development in general. One of the really exciting and challenging parts of engineering is its interdisciplinary nature. So we pull from science and from math and from all kinds of other parts of engineering. That sort of cross-cutting and cross-discipline nature should come through in the workshops. It is important that we focus our PD on hands-on activities because we are engineers. We ultimately have to make something that lives and works in the world. We ought to be providing experiences for teachers to do the same thing that they're going to be expecting their students to do. We want students to experience real engineering activities, and so teachers ought to be able to experience that in their PD, run up against those questions that they themselves have that are likely to be what their students are going to have, where they have support to get those answers in the middle of the PD. When I'm planning the PD, and when I'm executing the PD, it is very standards connected so that it is immediately relatable and implementable by the teachers. And I want to make sure, because engineering needs to be iterative, it needs to be creative. The whole idea behind engineering is that we're designing things that haven't existed. And so there needs to be freedom and comfort with making mistakes. So to the extent I can, I'm trying to focus on this is a safe environment to try stuff out. And you're not going to be criticized for what you come up with. What you want to focus as a teacher on in the PD experience is, what am I understanding through the process? What am I learning through the process, rather than let's focus on the outcome.
Ready to learn more about how your engineering PD can promote engineering content knowledge? Read the full standards and review their rubric on ASC's Commission for Pre-K-12 Engineering Education website. While you're there, sign up for faculty and teacher-facing events.